Welcome to Relational Lives. I'm Ali.
And I'm Roz.
And today we're going to be talking about an avoidant attachment style. We're going to talk about how it develops and what signs you might notice if you have an avoidant attachment style, and also what you might want to do to help make things different or better for yourself. Stay tuned for our top 3 tips at the end as well, takeaway tips. So
let's
get into it.
So, Ali, we're talking about avoidant attachment style today. So we've done another episode, if people haven't watched it, haven't we, or listened to it, called, what do we call that? Just attachment styles, did we?
Recognising your attachment style, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that might be helpful to listen to, watch again, should you want to, just before listening to this. But this
that just gives an overview of the 3 kind of main styles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So we're going to do the avoidant attachment style, and we'll go into another episode with the anxious attachment style another time, and possibly secure as well. And
we love talking about and understanding this attachment style, don't we?
We
do. I think we have a particular interest in this.
We do. We our work and the approach that we use is based in attachment, so it's something we love. Yeah.
Do you want to kick off with, perhaps talking about just a quick overview of those three styles, and then
sure. So the main sort of healthy attachment style is secure. Secure is where we were able to get all our needs met in the way that we needed to when we were little, and our attachment to our primary caregiver. So it's when we can know that we said, didn't we, that it's when somebody's got our back, didn't we?
Yeah,
that was the way we described it.
Yeah, feeling that when you're a child, you're growing up with someone's got your back. Someone's there.
Approving of you, meeting all your needs, knowing when you're hungry, knowing when you're sad, knowing when you need a cuddle. And when you have that secure attachment, when you have that safe base that you're coming from, it means you can then feel that inside yourself, safe enough to then go and explore the world. So that's secure. Do you want to say something around anxious?
Yeah, so anxious is when you've perhaps had a more unpredictable caregiving experience growing up, and there's that felt sense of uncertainty around who's going to be there, whether it's safe or not. So generally that feeling of it's harder for you when there is a emotional disconnect in the relationship.
Yes. And then avoidant, which we're going to talk more about today, the avoidant attachment style is when this is again about no blame to any primary caregiver, but it's when there hasn't been the availability of that caregiver, when they're not there for you in the way that you need them to be, and they're not able to be. And I suppose we could kind of go on from this, couldn't we, and elaborate now. So sometimes, for instance, it might be if your primary caregiver is depressed, they are unable to care for your emotional needs. They might be able to put food on the table, they might be able to kind of keep the roof over your head, as it were, but to meet those emotional needs, they're unavailable to you. And you will be aware of that. Sometimes actually it doesn't have to be sort of depression, it could also be where people are working really hard, can't it? And just don't have time, come back and are absolutely exhausted, not able to give the baby or child what they need.
We're all born into this world with the need to attach to someone else.
Yes, we're wired for connection, aren't we?
We're wired to emotionally connect with other people, and especially our caregivers. So we're born with that connection. But what happens in this kind of experience we're talking about, where those needs aren't being met consistently, a baby learns that's not helpful to be in touch with emotions. So it's like, imagine, a lamp or something that's plugged into the electricity. That's what we're like when we're born, the electricity being the emotional world. And then they learn, actually, that's not helpful, so I'm going to unplug. Not consciously, obviously you don't consciously think, I'm going to...
No, it's all out of awareness.
Yeah.
And that also goes into adulthood. You won't necessarily be aware that you're lacking in something or missing out on something or missing a connection with yourself, because you will have learned so well to do that unplugging because it's kept you safe. It's a really good survival strategy.
Sometimes it's called deactivating.
Yes.
Deactivating of the attachment system.
Yeah, do you want to say a bit more about that?
Well, I think, if we talk about from childhood learning that, obviously unconsciously learning it's not helpful, so I'm unplugging from that emotional world. It's inevitable that you'll end up plugging back in sometimes, but it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel safe to feel that connected to emotions because of the experience.
And that can happen very much in adult relationships, in relationships, but we notice it in adult relationships, don't we?
Yeah.
Where if there is a lot of emotion maybe coming from one partner, that can activate that system within inside the person. It's almost like that Ali's talking about, that plug in. It's plugged in for a minute, but actually it doesn't feel safe because you won't have known what to do with it. You won't have been taught or had it modelled or had that experience. You won't have had that felt sense of someone being there for you.
Yeah. And it could be positive emotions even, couldn't it? Like the feeling of someone loving you, or, you know, that real sense of, oh gosh, there's a lot of emotion here. Could be the positive stuff too.
It could.
Can't deal with that. Let's unplug.
It can feel a sort of overwhelm in a way, can't it? But not necessarily understanding, not necessarily connecting with what's going on. It's just that you will have learned, if you have an attachment style, to learn to cut off from that, to learn to withdraw often. And that's what we kind of say, don't we? That sort of distance. Keep your distance from those emotions. Keep your distance from what you don't quite know is going to happen in that emotional interaction, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I've forgotten what I was going to say then. Never mind.
Welcome to my world.
I've unplugged from my memory for a moment.
This is the experience of two middle-aged women on a podcast. This will happen regularly. Yeah. So forgive us. So let's talk a little bit more about perhaps would it be helpful to talk a bit more about how you might notice some of those avoidant behaviours, if you like.
I've just remembered.
Oh, go for it.
I was going to say there is a lot of negativity about avoidant attachment.
Yes.
In media.
Yes.
And it can feel very demonising, I think, for people that might identify with avoidant attachment.
I think that's a really important
I have
thing
a
to
lot
mention.
of empathy for someone that experiences that, because it's not always easy.
Oh, I think it's excruciating, really, because even if there's not the awareness, I think when people who are in a relationship and there is one person with anxious, let's say, attachment style, and one person with more of an avoidant attachment style, it could feel really confusing and really difficult to navigate how to manage that. And I think what's important when you say about the plugging in and the plugging out, that even though you might not be aware of what that sort of connection with yourself is, it's still, all the feelings are still inside.
All the electricity is still there.
All the electricity is
all
still
the wiring
there.
is still there. It's not like you've completely not got it. It's not absent. It's all there, but you're not connected.
But it can seem as if you don't. So the signals, I think, that people sometimes see from your expressions and how you are and the behaviours suggest that you're not there, suggest that you're not feeling anything. Whereas, like you say, we're very aware that people with more avoidant attachment style do feel all of this inside, that it is all going on, but just don't necessarily connect to it or know what to do with it.
Yeah. Okay, should we talk about how to recognise it then? So if someone's watching or listening to this now thinking, oh God, is that me? How would they recognise that perhaps this is their attachment style?
Yeah. And again, with everything that we say about this and what Ali's quite rightly said about social media and the demonising of this, these are just behaviours which are coming from a place of protection. And I think that's really important to remember, that this is how you protected yourself, as we read some of these out and see if perhaps they resonate with you in some way.
Yeah. And some of them actually are really positive things.
They are. They can be really helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's where some of our survival strategies, the way that we've learned to navigate the world through whatever attachment style we have, it's not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, is it? It's like a lot of those strategies can still be really useful and really helpful, and you don't want to get rid of them. It's not about that, but it's about finding a way perhaps where you can think how they're not necessarily helping you as well. Yeah? Does that make sense? Am I waffling a bit?
Well, no, I'm just thinking about George Fowler from a podcast called, what was it called?
Foreplay Radio.
And he was a firefighter, wasn't he?
He was.
And before he became a therapist, he was a firefighter. And obviously, as a firefighter, it's not helpful to be fully plugged into your emotions. It just wouldn't help. So he learned very helpfully, in that example, to deactivate.
Yeah.
But then it was happening in his relationships.
Yes.
So
that's where he realised it wasn't working so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really does serve, and with some of the things we'll talk about, you'll see how helpful it can be, and perhaps you'll recognise those too.
Yeah.
So how to recognise a more avoidant style tendencies and behaviours. You might find it really hard to stay around, as we were saying earlier, to stay around intense emotions, whether they are happy emotions or whether they're sad ones. To actually stay around those might feel really uncomfortable, really difficult, stressful. These are some of the words that might resonate with you. It sort of feels really stressful. And so you might want to sort of move away from them, or you might even want to try and find a way of closing those down. And sometimes that might be getting angry, or it might be showing some emotion, but the function of that emotion is to sort of close down that conflict or difficulty or intense emotion.
It's a kind of way of unplugging the emotion again, isn't it? How do I stop this emotion?
Yeah, and I'll try any way I can.
Yeah, could be humour, it could be walking out.
Yes,
it intellectualising, fixing it. Let's just fix the problem.
I think also you might say things like to a partner, just tell me what I need to do. Tell me what the answer is. Yeah.
Or chill out, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Calm down. Nobody ever calmed down. Did anyone ever calm down from someone
saying
calm
down?
down?
I certainly wouldn't. So an element that you might notice of a behaviour is being really, really good in a practical crisis. A bit like you were saying about George Fowler, that being in a firefighting situation, if there is a crisis going on, you will often come into your element there and be able to think straight, be able to deal with it really clearly.
Yeah. You're not overwhelmed by emotions.
No, because you're not plugged into them. So that's fantastic in a crisis.
Yeah. Often very successful in career.
Yes.
In careers and any sort of pursuits that you do, whether that be your job, whether it be, playing golf or playing whatever it is you do, you tend to do well at, because you're able to just really apply yourself and not let emotions get in the way of that. So another really good thing, another good example of how it can be helpful.
Yes, and also I think, I don't know whether your experiences of this, Ali, people who are successful have often been praised for their success.
Or get recognition
from it. And so that helps you feel good inside. So the praise is coming from the success rather than perhaps who you are. And so that can be another thing with the avoidance style, can't it?
What do you mean by that? The praise is coming from the success?
So instead of getting the approval for who you are.
Oh, I see.
Rather than, just for who you are and how you're feeling and whatever's going on in terms of a secure response. Instead, you're approved of, as it were, through the successes you get for what you do. So what you do rather than...
for just who you are at your core.
I remember I think it was in The Chimp Paradox, the book The Chimp Paradox, and there was an example that was used in there where there was a mum who went to meet her child at playgroup, and the example was where the child ran out with a painting, and the mum saying to the child, "Oh, let me look at that painting. What a fantastic painting you've done." And then the other example with the same situation was the mum meeting the child who'd come out with the painting and saying, the child saying, "Mummy, look at my painting that I've done today," and she's saying, she would say to the child, "Let's have a hug first, and then I'll look at your painting." So it's almost sort of looking at how the child then feels loved and wanted for who they are rather than the thing they've done. It's quite a good example.
I'm just sitting here thinking about producer Paul, who's going to be a dad, and how bloody paranoid he's going to be about about being a dad.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So
Anyway.
other examples. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, so you'll prefer to be on your own when you're struggling with something, which goes back to that thing of I can't trust other people to help me, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That self-sufficiency. I need to deal with this on my own. And that can be at the most difficult times, most painful times. It might be somebody who dies and you're experiencing grief, and you will want to go off and do it on your own. You want to go and experience the sort of pain in a way on your own. You don't want anybody to see it or be with you, supporting you through that.
Yeah, which is, there's a strength to that as well.
There is a strength.
But in relationships, it's difficult because your partner might want to be there with you and make sure that you're looked after and cared for, and that gives your partner something as well to be able to do that.
Yeah. And again, imagining that might feel really frightening or unfamiliar to imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So another behaviour that we can do, or people who have got more avoidant attachment style, is to please others, to want to try and get everything right.
Yes, happy wife, happy life. My favourite saying.
Yes, she says through gritted teeth.
Yeah. People pleasing. It's like if I please everyone around me, everything will be okay. Everything will be smooth.
Yeah, it's keeping that neutralising, isn't it, of everything? Let's keep everything on that,
waters calm.
That real level. Let's not go up. Let's not go down. Let's just keep it really, really steady and neutral.
Yeah.
Because then it makes sense, doesn't it? Why wouldn't you want to keep things neutral if you've not had the experience of knowing what it feels like to have somebody there for you, to have somebody have your back, and you've had to protect yourself by being self-sufficient? Why wouldn't you want that neutrality? Why wouldn't you want that calmness?
Sounds nice.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't it? Calm waters.
I think we can feel envious sometimes, bearing in mind, I would say for me, I would have a proclivity for anxious style. I envy sometimes the capacity that people with avoidant attachment style, that they have to be able to cut off from emotions sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think we can want to avoid our pain, but we can't. It's there, and particularly with more of an anxious style, I think we feel that. And so wouldn't it be nice sometimes just to cut off from it? Wouldn't it be nice just to be able to take ourselves off for a bit and deal with it? Unplug. Yeah, unplug.
Yeah. You might find that other people tell you that you're emotionally distant. You might not recognise it yourself, but you might be hearing it from others that they want more emotional connection from you, or you're really closed off. You're a bit emotionally distant. You might not really know what they mean by that.
No.
Hopefully, after this, you will know what they mean by that.
Yes. And again, I really feel for the person who's being told those things, because it's so hard, isn't it, I imagine, to hear that when what you might be doing is trying hard so much to fix things, to make things okay, and that you're being told you're not getting something right.
Yeah, a few of my clients that have avoidant attachment style, a few of them have said, it's like, I don't know what they're talking about. It's like they're asking me to speak another language and I don't know what that language even is. So how am I supposed to do this? It's really confusing and unsettling.
And why would they know that language?
Yeah.
Why would they know that language?
Yeah.
Because it's never been given to them. So it makes complete sense, and therefore it's something that's going to have to be learned.
So if you're someone who's dating and you think you might have an avoidant attachment style, or if you're any other attachment style and you're dating and you might recognise in people, there's a tendency to be looking for the one. And that's because if you find the one, everything will be smooth and lovely, which, again, lovely fantasy. And I'm sure we've all been fed stories of this from our childhood. How if you find the one, it's all going to be wonderful.
All the fairy tales are around that, aren't they?
They are happily ever after.
Yeah.
But so you might be thinking, I need to find the one and everything will be okay. Unfortunately, that doesn't work because everybody brings stuff with them to a relationship. And there will always be difficulties.
And in terms of dating, it might be that you find that you initially are feeling as if you are connected, as if it is the right person, and experiencing something maybe that you don't usually experience, which in some respects then suggests that this might be the one.
Yeah, all those hormones flying around, chemicals.
Yeah. So you might find, you'll be saying things like, oh gosh, I've never spoken to anybody like this before, and all those sorts of expressions. And yet when you get to a point where there is a more seriousness perhaps to the relationship, or
it's often about 3 months.
I was going to say,
3 months.
Thinking of your history as well, Ali, dating history, that when there seems to be more of a commitment, as it were, or more of an investment from the other person that they're kind of in, that can then feel more,
oh my goodness, emotion,
frightening. I need to
stuff.
distance myself, and that's where behaviours such as ghosting can come in, and people can see ghosting as the person who is being ghosted, it can feel really, really painful. But it's also remembering that for the person who is ghosted, there's a reason why you're doing it. There's a reason why you've had to distance yourself once again, because it has felt too frightening, even if you're not aware of that. Is that fair to say?
Well, it's easy to ghost nowadays, isn't it?
It is. Especially with social media and whatever, you
couldn't used to do that because you'd usually meet people through friends or through work, and you can't just disappear. But the
world is sort of bigger in a way in that respect, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can become more invisible.
You often find friendships much easier than closer kind of romantic relationships because there's always that distance. You're not likely to get that emotional closeness.
No, it's safe, isn't it?
It's much safer. Yeah.
In terms of your upbringing, what I have found is that people who have more of an avoidant attachment style might say, when you're sort of inquiring about what was your upbringing like, they might say, oh, it was great. I got to school on time. I had food on the table. I was clothed. I had a roof over my head. So it's not to say that your childhoods aren't good. It's just that the way that you think about them are more in practical terms, needs being met practically rather than emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah. And often look back on it, oh, it's fine. My childhood was fine. I had, food on the table. I had parents that loved me.
Yeah.
And they probably did, they might have done.
Absolutely. This isn't about that really, is it? It's just about what those people had the capacity or not to do at that time. The other point is in terms of sex, with a person with more avoidant attachment style, often it can be reversed in terms of the sexual relationship, where the avoidant person with more avoidant distancer, if you like, becomes more the approacher, because it's a sort of safe way to get that contact, that connection made, isn't it? It's easier to go and have sex with somebody and feel connected in that way. And again, because this is a lot out of awareness inside your bodies, you will feel good. You will feel that connection. You'll feel those endorphins. You'll feel all those, the oxytocin, the love kind of hug hormones coming in. So it'll feel good, and it feels safer often in that physical way.
Do you think also it's sort of in a contained sort of period of time, isn't it? That closeness is happening. You're feeling it.
There's sort of more control in a way over it, isn't there?
And then it has to end at some point.
Yeah.
I'm having sex about.
Be knackered if we were. Okay.
If you identify with quite a few of these, it might be that you have a tendency to this attachment style. And, I think I can be a bit of both. I can be a bit of anxious and avoidant for sure.
I think also it
Depends on who I'm
changes.
with.
I was going to say it changes in relationship, doesn't it? And I remember years and years ago, I was dating somebody, and they were so needy. They were kind of really in my face all the time, and I would be normally that person, I think. Yeah. But when I had that experience, it's like, no, like back off. This is just too much.
Too much.
And so I certainly would have become more avoidant behaviours then, yeah. So I think it depends on the relationship for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that, again, we can have more of a pull to that side. It can be more familiar to us, can't it, if we've had that experience in childhood where we might not have got what we needed.
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to say on it then, but it's gone again.
It'll come back. I'll start talking and it'll come back again, won't it? Shall I just start talking?
Oh, no.
There we go. I told you.
No, it's gone again. Oh, my God. Never mind. Carry on and it'll come back.
Okay. So what can help is noticing,
I've remembered it.
I told you. Didn't I tell you? I'd
Quick,
start
before I
talking.
forget.
Go.
Quick, before I forget. So, if you've got an avoidant attachment style, you might, quite easily want to exit the relationship if it feels like it's getting too much. That was on your topic, really. If it feels like it's getting too much, and then there's a relief when you've ended the relationship. You feel that relief. The other person might be distraught. And then it might be a few weeks or months later that you start to realise, oh, that was actually quite good.
Yes. And that's where that, what's it called, with the social media thing, where you kind of orbit, is it?
Oh, orbiting, where you're popping in and out of the socials.
So that I wonder if that's the times where that starts happening. So you think, oh, actually, no, that person, it was good. And then start, in a way, approaching.
Yeah.
Approaching them again.
Back again.
Yeah.
So, that was all
well
I wanted
remembered.
to say.
Good point. There are things that can help, aren't there? First, I think it's just checking in to see if these are some of the behaviours and if these resonate with you. And also, you might be happy with the way things are for you.
Yeah.
There's no
We're not
reason,
saying it's, it doesn't have to be a problem.
Doesn't have to be a problem. It's only really if in relationship it becomes an issue where you're being told there's no emotional connection and that you're not expressing your feelings and the person doesn't know, your partner doesn't know what's going on inside you. When you find that things are not working in a relationship, that perhaps you might want to explore doing something maybe a bit differently. Yeah.
So what would someone do? What would someone do if they're thinking, actually, this is me and it's really messing up my relationships now?
I think self-reflection is a good start.
Just awareness of it.
Yeah. Notice any patterns. Notice patterns in previous relationships. Notice patterns of what you have done, and if that's happening again. I think that's one way of doing it. I think often people can be really unaware of what they're doing, and then a partner who in a relationship, they might say, I've been telling you for ages, you're not communicating with me, you're not opening up. And it might get to the point where they say, this isn't working for me. And at that point, sometimes I think is when people come into therapy. And it might actually be even the more distancing partner who instigates that therapy.
Yeah, because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was this bad.
Yeah, because the alarm system is set off. So couples therapy can be a really helpful way of helping you, particularly emotionally focused therapy.
Yeah, any sort of, I think, attachment-based therapies.
Yeah, because we need this, in a way, we need to feel into how difficult it is in order to then get what you need, which you didn't get when you were younger, in order to be able to find a way forward. So doing that with somebody with your partner can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, not just any old random person off the street. Hey, can you come and do therapy with me?
Oh, that's hilarious. No, so with your partner, it might be helpful going into couples therapy. There's if for those who are dating, there's a guy called Stan Tatkin, and he's written a book, Wired for Dating, and he's written one called Wired for Love, hasn't he, actually? But for those who are dating, that can be really helpful because he talks about attachment styles using different language, but he talks about attachment styles, and there are practical things that he writes that can be really helpful and then can help you self-reflect as well.
Yes. And there was another book. Did you check out that book?
I tried to find it this morning and I couldn't find it.
Okay. Well,
but
if we can find it,
we'll put it into the show notes. But it's a book around how to understand the lack of expression of feeling and how to help you do that. So feelings.
Was that specifically for males, or? It's
specifically for males.
But
I think it could be anyone, but anyone particularly who's more avoidant. I'll check it out. But if either way, I'll find it and we'll put it into the show notes.
Therapy is really helpful, isn't it?
It really is helpful.
Awareness for yourself, reading, really just finding out what this is for you.
Yeah.
And if you have a partner, start to maybe share that with them and tell them, this is what I've noticed. Maybe this is what you're talking about when you say, I don't have any emotional connection with you.
And you might be really surprised if you do that. If you become aware of what you have a tendency to do, and then you're sharing it with your partner is going to be, you might be really pleasantly surprised about their reaction to that, because they will be getting something from you that they're not used to. And you will have success in that communication then in a way that you might not have had before.
Hopefully. Unless someone says, for God's sake, I've been telling you this for years, why?
Indeed. And in which case, again, couples therapy is a really good place to do that, because as a therapist, we can help navigate and help manage that, can't we, in a session?
Or you could share this podcast with your partner, who then might have more empathy for why this is your particular style. I think that would be a start, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And as Ali said earlier, we both have huge empathy for people with avoidant attachment style. It's not easy.
Okay. So is anything else on that, or shall we go
I think we're kind of
to
there.
our takeaway tips?
Yes, let's do
takeaway
that.
Tips. Takeaway tip number 1. Write down what you notice in your history that might have resulted in you developing this particular attachment style, why you may have unplugged from your emotional world and from your attachment system, which is, your emotional part, really. Just start to reflect on that. And
tip number 2, we suggest writing down all the things that you recognise within the distancing behaviours. So the things that, and there'll be more that you might recognise, but maybe some of the things that we've spoken about, and what isn't working for you within your relationship. And think about whether those are the things that you'd like to change. And lastly, if you're in a relationship, start to share that with your partner. Tell them that you're recognising this and what you think, how you think it may have developed and how you think it might be showing up in the relationship. Slightly separate tip, be curious about yourself, be kind to yourself, and see if you can learn more about this, more about who you are. Yeah, and that'll be a lovely way to meet your needs that you didn't have met before. Yeah, so we hope you've taken something from this. I think certainly from my experience working with someone with an avoidant attachment style, it is eye-opening for them and in a way comforting. Yes. Yeah, because they understand all the reasons why they do the things that they do. Yeah, starting to learn that new language. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe and like, and we will see you at our next... Subscribe. Do they put? I think it's there, isn't it, underneath on the YouTube one anyway. And those who are listening to us, if you can like, and any reviews that you you can leave us. That would be great. Along with any ideas that you would like for future episodes, please get in touch with us, and we're happy to cover any topics that, well, not necessarily any topic, but we'll certainly, maybe any topic. All right then, any topic. Thank you for watching, listening.
Thank you. See you again.